Hi, everybody. This is Nathan Manning with GoAppDeveloper.com, and we're back with Ryan Morel for another discussion about 2013 predictions for mobile app marketing. So, in our last conversation, we covered some of the basics about where we see the industry and app marketing going in general over the next year. And we had so much to talk about that we thought it would be useful to come back and talk about specifically what is going to go on in the tablet space as we move forward into 2013. So, Ryan, welcome back.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Good to have you. So let's kick this off right away. I know we talked about some of the overall trends for the industry in 2013, and one of the things that we talked about was the fact that tablets will continue to become more important, even to the point that some developers may make the choice to target their apps first on a platform like iPad, for example, as opposed to launching broadly across a number of devices. Can you talk a bit about some of the major trends that you see happening with regards to tablets over the next year?
Yeah, sure. So, I think the big one is just how quickly we're seeing tablets explode in the market. So, a couple months ago, we saw Apple come out and say, hey, we've sold 100 million iPads already. The growth of that market was much faster than the growth in iPhone and Android even. So Flurry actually came out with a report yesterday saying that 50% of activations on Christmas Day were tablets, 50% were smartphones, which it was breaking the 80-20 trend that they'd seen over the last month, where 80% of activations were phones and 20% were tablets. So the tablet was the Christmas gift this year. They're just flying off the shelves, right? So it remains to be seen whether or not Windows 8 will make an impact here. But we can probably assume that it will. Maybe not until the end of 2013, but it will. And so there's going to be just a huge number of these really portable, really powerful, touch-enabled computers in everyone's backpack, right? That's a big shift from what we've seen over the last year or two. In terms of how it affects developers, I think they have some interesting choices, right? So they can, one, develop tablet-only content, which is going to make sense in some cases, depending on what they're developing. Or two, they can make the choice to spend additional cash to develop a mobile version and a tablet version, which may or may not pay dividends. There is some benefit in just doing the same app across multiple screens, but it does cost more. So, I might think about, if I were an app developer, how you can change the experience between the phone and the tablet experience, either with varying content or different purchase prices or whatever it is, so that, you get people moving back and forth between screens. But really simply, I think this is the year that we're going to see more tablet-only experiences being developed.
It's interesting that you mentioned Microsoft with Windows 8 on tablets. I remember it wasn't so long ago that everyone was kind of counting Microsoft out on netbooks, and there was a lot of investor angst with people that had shares in Microsoft, thinking that maybe this was going to be the gateway for platforms like Linux to break in. And what basically happened was Microsoft got together and they kind of rallied the troops. And within a couple of years, they had over 90% share on netbooks. Now, I'm not at all expecting that that's going to happen in the tablet space, because there's a lot of stronger commercial competition for a start. But do you think that people are underestimating Microsoft? And if you were an app developer, would you be thinking about possibly looking at the Windows tablets as being an opportunity to get in before other people see it as an opportunity?
Potentially. And that kind of depends on what type of content you're creating. I think the challenge is, at least in the short term, is there's just not enough out there today for you to do really well with the Windows 8 enabled app. I would probably be thinking like, hey, by mid 2013, I should be testing that market. So maybe you start thinking about development now. But I certainly wouldn't be releasing anything today thinking it was going to make a big impact. So the second thing that I think it needs to happen is, currently, Microsoft still has this, there's some benefits to this strategy. I get that. But, if you don't create a tablet version and a laptop/desktop version, you can't get featured in the store. And that's bad, right? So developers creating tablet-only versions don't get any visibility because they don't have a desktop version. Okay, well, I mean, I get that Microsoft wants to push people to develop for both screens, but maybe a little bit unrealistic. And that's probably going to hurt Microsoft more than it's going to hurt app developers, right? So I think there's probably some big opportunity around kind of services for Windows 8, because we can all kind of lament about Microsoft's how long it's taken them to make a move here, but they're still going to sell a lot of them, right? Whether or not the enterprise picks it up or not, there's going to be a lot of Windows 8 devices in the market. That's just the reality. If I were a developer mid 2013, and I'd be thinking heavily about how I'm going to market outside of the store, because their current storefront kind of crappy.
Yeah, I agree. So another one of the major trends that we're going to continue to see in the tablet space is device proliferation, right? And it wasn't so long ago that as an app developer, really the only platforms you had to focus on were iPhone and then later iPad. And now you've got Android devices, both tablets and phones. You've got Windows phone devices. You've got Windows tablets. You've got all of the iDevices, and now with different screen sizes and resolutions. So do you think that that's going to have a negative effect on smaller developers? Do you think that the larger publishers who are in a better position to port and test their applications on a large number of devices will benefit? Or do you think that the increased customer reach will more than offset that? And then I guess secondly, how would you defend yourself against that as a developer? Would you try to port to everything, or would you take a more targeted approach and try and pick a small set of devices to focus on?
It's always going to benefit the big guys because they will have the resources to provide their content across multiple platforms. And that sort of builds this marketing and awareness tsunami that no developer can overcome, right? There's just so much mind share. I think we talked a little bit about this in our previous conversation. This is another example of why developers should pick like really targeted audience segments to go after with their apps, right? So, EA can go out and port to every Android device, every tablet, Windows Phone, Windows 8, et cetera, but most small app developers can't do that. So instead of trying to compete with them, do the opposite, right? Get at it as specific as possible, and target those people specifically in your marketing, right? So, EA goes out and buys bus billboards for Madden, right? Because they want that awareness everywhere. Most developers can't do that. So what you need to do is go spend some money on Facebook to target the right people for your app. Even if it drives 500 downloads, that's okay, right? Get some traction within your niche, and go that route. I wonder whether or not this year will also kind of be the year of Android's move downwards, right? Because everything we see about Android is that they're selling so many devices, but the software is not great, and there's a ton of malware. There's always issues with it. And now the Windows Phone actually starting to look pretty good, and a lot of people really like those devices. If Microsoft can figure out their licensing strategy to almost give them away, much like Android does, I wouldn't be so sure that we don't see Windows Phone start to eat into Android's market share.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I've always wondered why Microsoft hasn't gone down that route. I mean, clearly everything that they've been doing for over 5 years hasn't won them any significant market share, and I think it's probably time for them to try a strategy like that and look for other ways to monetize. And to be honest with you, the time's probably running out. So I think that's about all the time we have today, and I hope this has been useful for app developers who are looking to target different platforms in 2013. I just wanted to recap a few of the things that we've talked about. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of growth in tablets over the next year, both in terms of the raw numbers of tablets and also in terms of device proliferation. And I think for developers, that's going to mean that they have a choice. Do you want to target a large number of devices and try and compete with the likes of EA, Glue, and Gameloft? Or do you take a more targeted approach and target only the devices that you think have the best chance of giving you a higher ROI? And I think, to be honest with you, we'll see a continuation in the trend in 2013 of more developers making the decision to launch on tablets only or on a subset of devices within the tablet space. For example, on our previous call round, we talked about Baldur's Gate and Magic the Gathering as being two fairly well-known games that have released recently only on iPad. And I think in their case, it was probably a good decision, given the fact that in order to create a sufficiently high experience, they really needed all of the real estate that was available on a tablet, and it would have been harder to do that on a smartphone. So I think they were probably wise in deciding to focus on just those devices. Thanks again for taking the time to be with us, Ryan. It's always good to share your insights with our audience. And if anyone needs to get in touch with you, they can reach you at placeplay.com. And for questions for me, people can reach me at nathan@goappdeveloper.com. Thanks again, and talk to you again soon.
Great. Take care.